Hello. Good morning, everybody. Class is back in session. I hope you enjoyed your summer break. We're going to be picking up where we left off, and after looking at kind of where the project is and whatnot, I've decided I think we're going to demonstrate doing the hands today. Getting some hands on our characters. Now, that being said, I'm going to be doing more of like traditional hands with the finger ligaments, you know, like it'll look like maybe a 3-fingered with a thumb hand. With a character like a robot, you don't have to do traditional hands. So if you decide you want your robot to have like clamping claws, like a lobster, or something different, in the world of robots, you know, hands can be very different. But I'm going to be showing, because our character's holding the kind of the hank of rope in one hand, and then the other side he's twirling. So, yeah. Usually you would make the item that the character's holding first. Can you do less fingers? You could do less fingers too, yeah. Yeah, I'll probably do, I mean, on my sketch, I think I did a 3-fingered hand. So three big fingers and a thumb instead of 4 fingers and a thumb. So yeah, normally you would want to have the object that the character's holding made first. But in this case, the object they're holding is soft and flowy. So it forms to what the hand is doing. So we don't need the hand to form to it, because it's rope. We just need the positioning of the hand to be in a way that when we go back in and figure out how we're going to do the rope later, you know, that we have room to kind of work. So that's what we're going to be focused on. I think I'll demonstrate the hand that is kind of holding the big hank of rope in the front today. And then I will have to point out some differences that you'll have to do on the other hand. But we might have to wait to do the other hand to figure out how we're going to do the actual rope itself. So, because with the rope we could do mixed media, or we could make it out of clay. But yeah, there's a few kind of complications or challenges we're going to have to consider when we're doing that. So, and I'm not 100% sure how we're going to do that yet. Well, we got to do it. We got to get past the hands, claws, and tools. Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, browse around on different robots and stuff. You'll see that, you know, they don't all have hands. And I will say this too: if you're afraid to do hands because you've tried the gremlin hands and it's been a pain in the butt, robot hands are easier. Definitely much easier. Way more laxed. So, that being said, let me pull up some reference and we're gonna get into it. Yeah, it's equivalent to making a hand that has gloves on. Making gloved hands is so much easier than making any bare hands. So, I mean, we could see. Let's go to our reference board here. Yeah, you can see even like this type of thing is what I was talking about with like the claw hand. We're probably gonna do something more like this, like the 3 fingers and the thumb. But let's just take kind of a look. You know, like this one is probably similar to what we're gonna do. Stuff like this. That seems to be a very common 3 fingers and a thumb style. Let's see, was there any other types of hands? That one. So that one, you know, it's got this plating over the hand, but you make the hand first and then you do the plating on the wrist later. So, but I mean, here's an isolated hand. I like the proportions of the hands being a little bit on the bigger side, so I could see making the hands a bit on the bigger side, a little bit more rugged, you know. That's an interesting approach with the knuckles there. Bigger hands. Here's what I mean by like various, you know, you could go full asymmetrical.
Listen closely, traveler, to what I say. Twitch Prime does not even cost a dime.
Hey, thank you very much, sir, Uncle Richard. I appreciate it. I forgot to turn those off. Let me do that really quick. Usually I don't have alerts going on during the class. You got it in there, Uncle Richard. 36 months. Thanks, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thanks for sticking with me. No, it's not your fault. I mean, how dare you? How dare you? He's old, silly old Uncle Richard. He can get away with stuff like that. See, this is pretty typical. Oh, so this one's 2 fingers and a thumb. Now, the way the fingers are done on this is very similar to how I think I'm going to do mine. Either you have hinges where the knuckles are, or you have like almost like a rubber gasket where the knuckles are. Both look pretty good. Maybe we will have the rubber kind of gasket, since that'll mimic what we have going on the neck here. There's tool hands. There's some really big hands. Blitzcrank. There's hands like this. So lots of different ways you can go with the hands, and maybe it will help you pick your design choices. If you're gonna have your character doing what my character is doing, just make sure, yeah, bender style, where it's just like a cylinder that can bend, you know. Make sure your character is able to do what you want your character to do with the hands that you give it. So here's some tool hand stuff here. 2 different tool hands. Hammer and saw. So when do we make what the hands are holding? Sometime in the future. That's when. I can't tell you exactly when. Okay, so the complications that we have with what the character's holding. Oh, let me turn this. Let me set up this is. So there's a section of rope that goes from this hand to this hand, that we need to figure out a system or a way to make that part detachable. Because otherwise it's very much going to be in the way. So it'll probably be something where it disconnects on both ends and we can just remove that piece. And then in the very end, we can just glue it on permanently. And then the rope that goes from here up needs to have a support or an armature. So that rope, so that makes me lean a little bit more towards actually sculpting the rope and not coming up with some sort of method that we can roll it and kind of stamp texture into it. I was thinking what we might do is we might do like using cloth, like actual cloth, and rolling out the rope on the piece of cloth to create the kind of textured rope look. Your rope isn't gonna do that. Okay. Well then you don't gotta worry about it then. So we're gonna start with this hand, the one that's kind of like this, and it's holding a big kind of spool of rope. So first step is we could need some smaller gauged wire to build ourselves an armature for the hand. Oop. Well, okay. Yeah, we're gonna use wire for this one, but there's a different way to build hands if you don't want to build an armature, where you sculpt the hand just out of clay, in a very skinny manner, and then you bake it, and then you sculpt another layer on top of that baked hand to create the actual finished hand. Let's see, I don't think, there's my drill. But in this case, I think I'd like it to have more structure, this hand, so that's what we're gonna do. This is why we're gonna do the armature. So I believe this is like a 22 gauge wire, just a much thinner wire. And we're gonna spin a piece of this up so we can kind of build our hand out of it. So we got 22 gauge galvanized steel or stainless steel. Usually the smaller wires, just stainless steel. Yeah. Bend it in half. And we're just going to twist that up with the drill. How long is the first length approximately? It's about a forearm and a hand in length. Split times 2. I usually, what's a good length to always make sure you have enough wire when you twist wire is you pull out. Oh, sorry. You pull out the wire at your wingspan, whatever your wingspan is. So you untwist wire till you have a wingspan's worth. Twist it or cut it off and then bend it in half, and that length usually, and when you twist it up, usually ends up being perfectly long enough to do whatever you need it for. So this one's a little bit less than a wingspan. Okay, let's twist it. All right. Cut off the end here. I usually cut off this end too. That's not twisted there. There we go. Take a sip of coffee. Okay, so now we have to decide how big the hand will be, specifically how long the fingers will be. Now, in a human character, usually the length of the wire will be slightly longer than the length of the face. And we could just use that same measurement here and just kind of see what we end up with. So I'm going to go the length of the neck to the top of the head here. And I'm going to work with that. That could be too big, actually. Let's go a little bit less. Maybe like right there. Or you know what, a little bit more. It's better for it to be too long than to be too short. So let's just do that. So once we figure out the longest finger, whatever the longest finger is, we have it here. This includes the length of the finger, the length of the palm, and a little bit left at the bottom for the wrist. No matter what size the head is. No. I'm just using this as a measurement. This robot, it doesn't matter how big or small the hands are. It's not a anatomically proportionate character. So, but in the case of a humanoid or a human character, usually, unless it's, you know, like some sort of like ogre or something. Yeah, it's arbitrary. That's right. Drop one on the ground. It's always a very important step. Drop it on the ground and then you pick it back up. And that just does something magical. That makes it all better. Okay, so I've decided I'm going to do 3 fingers and a thumb. So let's cut the third one. And I'll usually just do the thumb at the same length too, even though, you know, these are all going to get shorter. So let's just do 4 total for the hand. Okay, and then I'm going to cut a 5th one for when I do the hand, the second hand, as a... This 5th one I'm going to set to the side. Now you can cut all your wires. Usually I end up building the armature for both the hands at the same time, and I do recommend doing that. I, however, am not going to do that because we're not recording this hand and we're going to be recording the next hand. So I got other stuff kind of going on behind the scenes but naturally you would want to, so you have your 4 fingers here, you would want to continue and you want to cut 4 more. So that way they're starting at the same kind of level. I cut just 1 so I can, you know, start from there and at least have the same starting length. So, okay. So now we have what makes up our hand here. We're gonna take these wires like so, and I'm gonna grab a second set of pliers. We need to find out the length of the fingers with the palm. I think something like that should be good. This would be the entire length of the hand. Okay, so there's that line right there. So that means the rest of this will become the wrist. So I'll grab onto that with the pliers here. And then grab another set of the pliers very tightly here. And we're just gonna give it a little, we're just gonna start twisting it up. Careful when you get to the end of this twist using your fingers, because you don't want the little bottoms of the wire to cut your fingers. Okay, so that's why I go in with another set of pliers here, and we're just gonna just grab and twist until it's all kind of solid together like that. And it should look like something like this, all mangled and weird. That's gonna be the thumb. Wait, let's see. Left hand. So if this is the thumb, it has to go this way. Always check and make sure you're making the right hand. So, you know, this is the character's left arm. This is my left hand. So that means the thumb has to go this way. Fingers go this way. There. Hey, what's up, Alan? What's up, Watermelon? Okay, so the first thing we need to establish is the kind of the width of the palm. So I'm just gonna kind of move these around until I have a good kind of spacing between the fingers and just width, palm width, however wide we want the palm to be. The bigger the fingers, the kind of the more space you need to make here in this step. So if you got really big hands, really big fingers, you're gonna want to make sure to spread them out so there's enough room. And try to make the spacing pretty equal. I think that's pretty good. The thumb can come from the wrist way down here. And usually it bends somewhere around here. Up. And that's typically the construction of the thumb. Okay, so now I take now I'm looking at this measurement between the bottom of the palm and the tip of the finger, and usually the fingers are like a little bit longer, but it's almost half. It's almost the halfway. With a little bit of favoritism towards the finger side, I'm gonna make a bend. So crease. And then this one a little bit shorter in the palm. So that's our pinky side, right? And this one a little bit shorter. Usually it's like the middle finger is the longest a little bit. Unless you're going like really geometric with your hands, then you know you want them all to be the same. Okay. And then, okay, so now I'm gonna do halfway between this crease and the tip, I'm gonna put a bend. The halfway point. thumb can go straight up like this. That's kind of going to be the pose, something like that. So we can do the kind of the ream of rope nestled in his palm. Like, and then this is where you can really kind of see if how the size of your hand is going with your robot design. So you'll know at this stage if it's going to be too big or too small. You'll get like an initial instinct once you kind of hold it up to your robot. But that looks good. It's fitting. It fits. Okay, and sometimes at this point, if I feel like the fingers would be too kind of moving on me, I'll take a little dollop of steel stick and just kind of smush it where the palm is. And that just kind of holds it all together. Or, you know, or if this wrist twist here is a little bit on the looser side, I might do that. I'm not sure if we're going to do that here, though. I think I'm going to do... Okay, so halfway between this corner and this end here, we're going to do another bend here on the thumb. Not mandatory, no. No, we can just go in with the clay. Okay, let's grab some clay. Okay, now at this stage, you can proceed forward with clay glue or with super glue. The clay glue, you're going to have a harder time with it sticking to the wire. I'm tempted to use that just to show you guys how that kind of goes. But I also know how easy it is to do with super glue. Decisions. Yeah, you okay. All right. For La Vida Lux's sake, I will use the clay glue just to show you guys. But you can, so usually with the fingers, it's a little bit easier to get the clay. It's easier to get the clay to stick to the really small pieces of wire if you use super glue. Just a little bit of super glue, not even that much. And it really just, you know, sticks on there. And it just makes it easier to sculpt the fingers. But if you don't want to use super glue, because there are reasons not to, especially with creating fumes, you want to use the clay glue, which I'll demonstrate. I always use a pair of hemostats here for the hands, so we're just gonna get this clamped on. If you don't have a pair of these, you need to get some, because this makes life so much easier. Now I can hold this object instead of this tiny little piece of wire. And when I need to get up to get something or whatever, I can just set it down and it's not gonna be messing up nothing. So okay, so let's grab a brush. Let's grab some tools here for shaping. And we're gonna just apply our clay glue to the armature. Let's start building up this hand. And baking it, yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, because these go right into the oven. I'm gonna hold it steady while it bakes. Now, one trick I've done before, and it does work pretty good. If you've ever sculpted hands on a wire armature, you'll tend to run into this problem where almost like where the tip of the finger is that you're sculpting, kind of poking through because of these sharp ends of the wire. Now I've done a trick before where we kind of coat it with clay glue. Okay, let me just demonstrate this, and then we just kind of put a little bit of extra clay glue towards the tip of the wire, so we can get like kind of a drip going here. Not too much, not too little. Okay, see, like that. And then we take the heat gun and we cure it. So let's do that. Yeah, once it goes clear, you know it's cured. So. And then we just go back in with the clay glue. It just creates a little, just like makes a nice soft rounded end of the finger of the armature, and it prevents a lot of that almost like cutting. It's like a cutting that happens where the clay kind of cuts right at the tip of the finger because of that sharp wire. It's very annoying to deal with. Let me see this too. Okay, there we go. All right, now we're ready. So let's start by filling in the palm first. I'm gonna take just a little pad of clay here, and we'll just push it in here on this side. Right up to that finger line. And another pad coming from the other direction here. You're gonna get clay glue on your fingers at this stage, and that's okay. There. Now with the fingers, I like to roll out kind of a thinner snake. I'm imagining the thickness of the fingers as I'm making this roll here. If you can get the initial roll to be right, it's so much easier to do the fingers. If it's too thick, you have way too much material on your fingers, and if it's too thin, you don't have enough. So finding that good in between where it's kind of like, think about it, you're measuring kind of half of the overall thickness when you make this piece here. So this is what I think it is here. And I'm just going to squish it onto the back side first. And then when I get to the end, I just wrap it around the end. Like so. And then the rest of this kind of goes on the underside. So we got this kind of seam line on the sides. So just enough to kind of wrap and cover those fingers. And then, you know, you take a tool like this and we just kind of run it along the side here to deal with that seam line so the clay is you know, equally surrounding the finger. It can get very annoying to work with if there's like too much clay on one side and not enough on the other, where you're trying to shape and detail, and there's just not enough material to work with. We want the armature to be in the middle as best we can. Yeah. Add on the other fingers. I wonder, it might be easier to do this underbelly side first. Starting with that harder to reach spot first and then going like this. What if we want to make slightly thicker triangular-ish fingers? Triangular, okay. Well, the bottom will still be the same, and then you just have to use your tools to create that peak at the top. You know, you have to shape this natural, what this creates is a natural kind of rectangle shape for the fingers. Square or rectangle. You just have to eliminate the top with the tools by kind of pushing the clay to create a peak. Yeah, well, at the beginning, don't worry so much about the shape of the fingers. Right now, we're just trying to get the clay covered, and then we go in and we start, you know, manipulating shape. Like, we can add more towards the bottom, you know, so it's a little bit thicker towards the base of the hand, which I'll probably do too. Right now, we just want this foundation layer stuck on there, you know. We want it, the wire encapsulated in the clay. So I'm just sliding the tool along the side here, trying to kind of close off that. Could also do that here. Might as well do the thumb next. Thumb tends to be a little bit thicker, so I'm gonna make a kind of a little bit thicker of a roll for the thumb. Okay, get rid of that seam line. This is the little bit of that pain of the butt part, where you're trying to get the clay to really stick to that wire. And you need to make sure it is stuck and not kind of moving around on you before you move on. All right, good. All right, so now I'm gonna take a tool like this, and I want to figure out where the different sections of the hand are. So I'm gonna do a line here, and here. So that's one kind of section. And then there's going to be the part that bends right there. So whatever we're going to do that could be the hinge, or it can be I'm probably going to do like that accordion rubber stuff. Okay, there. So we have, this is a solid piece, the bendy part, and a solid piece. So let's do that for the rest of the fingers. So, you know, if this finger is bent like this, then the lines are not parallel. You know, you have to actually take that into account when you're making that area, the bending area. That it would be compressed at the bottom and a little bit more open at the top because of the angle of the finger. If the finger was straight, it would be parallel. You know, there would be no compression here. All right. So now this can help us make decisions on if we want to add material or if we want to thicken parts up. I think I will do that. Just gonna add a little bit more material here. So normally a finger has 2 bending parts, but on my robot, so we can get away with making those types of changes, only has it bends at the knuckle and it bends right there. Usually with hands, what I like to do is kind of ignore the palm, everything going on with the knuckles and the palm and everything, and really focus on the fingers and get those looking good and finished before doing the palm. That way you don't have to worry about messing anything up if you bump into or touch the palm or anything else there. So, because it can be a little bit of a tight working space. All right, now I'm gonna start cleaning up the shape here, defining it a little bit better. Just pushing the excess material down to kind of create this flat plane on the side here. I'm pushing the tool down and sliding it in the direction I want that extra clay to displace. We want to push it down to that bottom side, and then on the bottom side we can, and what it does, it creates that nice corner. See that? All right, let's see here. I'm gonna use this tool to help us kind of establish these planes. All right, now the hard side, the underside here. Let's kind of deal with this here. Just gonna kind of pushing the excess kind of towards the middle of the palm there, so we can get this nice edge going here. And establish that kind of the cutoff of that part on both sides. See, I'm isolating this piece, this shape here, and we're just cleaning it up and making it as nice as we can. And then we'll be able to kind of cut parting lines into it. Clearly defining those kind of separation lines. All right, next part of the finger. I'm not going to add any material into here. I'm just going to clean up the planes. So I did the whole top side there first, and then we're just gonna kind of do the side here. But I'm gonna be careful not to disrupt our top and bottom plane too much. Pulling all the excess to kind of the knuckle spot, which will be the last thing that we do on the finger. Okay, now we do the re-establishing this line here. You know, and it's good to, with hands, just really take your time, you know, go move nice and slow. They are a very complex object, even when you simplify them. And they're a focal point of your piece. It tends to be one of those parts of the project most people will look at very closely, you know, so spend the time to make them right. No, nothing extra on the knuckle, so we're about to do the knuckle part now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the knuckle part look kind of like an accordion, kind of like that rubber that's on the around the neck of the robot. like so. Okay, and then I'm just going to detail this entire finger, and that'll let you know how you would approach all the fingers, because you're just repeating the same process, and then we'll kind of switch into the palm. So that's about as far as I would push it for the shaping. It's missing a finger. Yeah, we're going with a 3-finger build. Three fingers, 1 thumb robot. Let's grab our circle tools here. Maybe you just have an extra finger. You ever think about that? Maybe you have too many fingers, Geo. Okay, I'm gonna do a circle right here on the side. Carefully. I can already tell it's difficult to work on the end of the finger because of it wanting to come off of the armature. Do one right there too. Supply cuts, yeah. You know how much the advanced robotics industry saved off of this looks like it got more bent. What did I do to that? By only using 3 fingers instead of 4, how much money they saved? Think about the savings. All right, and then I'm gonna create a seam line here, kind of making it so like this top plate is there, and then we'll do the same for the bottom. Top plate, bottom plate scenario. Sandwich construction. The savings, oh yes. Establish the plane. Yeah, I mean, all the exactly. Establishing the planes. Once you have that, the detailing is just lines and circles, really. Lines and circles and scratches. But the shapes are very crucial, very important that you get the shapes down. Okay, then let's see if I have a smaller one here. Missing my super tiny one. That's why we'll use this. Just put kind of 2 bolts up top here. That looks pretty good. And then, you can add some, near the fingertips, we'll add some little kind of dings right on the corner. Now this step, like I said, these type of details can always be done after it's been baked. So if you're having a hard time kind of doing the little scratches and stuff, you can always bake it first and then come in with a X-Acto knife and do the same thing. The hand should be a little bit more rough than the rest of your robot because they're going to be a little bit worn out. Okay, so then you do this treatment on all the fingers in the same order, same steps, nothing different there. And then after you have all the fingers kind of situated, we're gonna figure out, okay, how's the palm gonna look? I'm gonna add a little bit more material on the back side here. Kind of dimples in there, so I'm just gonna fill that. Okay, I'm gonna move this a little bit so I can get in there with our tool. Gonna use this flat side to make this nice and clean and smooth. Establishing the plane. You always have to be mindful of which direction you're pulling the excess material. You always have to think you're trying to make the plane and kind of smush it out so that the clean edge can be cut. So, I want to make a nice clean edge at the bottom here, so I have to eliminate this little kind of messiness. I need to bring some more material down there and kind of push the edge past where I want it to go. So then I can cut it back and get it nice and clean, and it matches up with my plane. You use the reflection once it starts to get shiny to kind of see where any inconsistencies are in your plane. Right, now we're going to cut this edge here. First pass is always a little bit lighter, just kind of sketching the edge. Then I go a little bit deeper. But see, I'm not going to remove this material because I want to create this like kind of the rubbery gasket part here in between the palm and the fingers. So I'm just going to kind of roll that over into that area. Now we're not going to deal with anything with the wrist. We're just focused specifically on the hand. So we can cut this material out of here. And that's kind of where the wrist will come out of. There we go. And we just give that kind of this rubber gasket part a similar treatment as we did with the finger. Just going to add our kind of accordion lines here. Now those rubber gasket areas are the only spots I will use the brush and alcohol to kind of smooth over. And now we just can design the back here. Let's make a little access panel. Got some little scratches here. There we go. So, you get the basic idea. You know, let me just brush that to show you. So you just do the finger how I showed you on all the fingers. You deal with this surface like that and the underside. Same idea. And it may be a panel here alongside the thumb. It's just more of the same thing. You establish the plane and the shape, which it's almost there. I might add a little bit more mass there. And then we just kind of add panel lines and some bolts and some scratches, and there you go. I'd say the palm on this is, don't focus a lot on this one because he's going to be holding this giant kind of spool of rope. So it's not going to be seen in the final product. But you don't know where that cutoff line is, so go ahead and render at least some detail there. We just brush with the flow of this kind of rubber gasket area. Same with on here. Be very gentle and careful not to derail our finger here. So yeah, at this point I just finished these fingers, do some basic cleaning up on the palm, and that's it. Goes in the oven. Hand finished. Gonna look good. And of course, once we have the hands, we'll be able to continue and finish the arm, do the wrist. We'll give them like a nice, kind of like how we do with the shin here, nice bulky forearm armor. Finish up the shoulder. That's probably what we'll try and do next session. Is I'll finish up the hand and we'll do the whole arm, so all the way up to the shoulder, so that way the arms are done, and then that will leave the last part, which will be the backpack. Oh, and backpack, and then probably one session for accessorizing, because we might want to add like some sort of accessories on the robot. You know, right now what we're doing is we're building the base build of the robot, kind of like the very like as if it walked off the factory line. And then we can go through the character and say, is there little things we can add to him that, you know, gives him more character, kind of helps tell our story more. You know, like on the sketch, my robot has like a cloak kind of attached to one of his arms, flowing cape. So if I'm putting a scroll in the hand, should I do after baking? Yeah. So yes, just make sure there's like space in between in the middle where you can kind of just stuff clay in at both sides and then sculpt the scroll out of both ends, you know? So just make sure, you know, you leave a little space between so he looks like he's holding something, not a closed fist, because that'll be, you know. I mean, you could probably still make that work, to be honest, but even if that were the case. Okay, well, there we go. That's the hand lessons. The other hand is pretty much the same. The difference is we have to make sure we have room to attach the armature for the rope. So yeah, maybe just hold off on doing the other hand until I have that part figured out, and then I can tell you, because it's going to be different. It's going to be very similar, but there might be, like, you know how we made the armature wire for the fingers? There might be on that hand an extra one that we will be able to use as like an anchor point for the rope when we attach it later. So, because we have to think there's an extension of the armature that we need coming out of his hand, and that's that swinging grappling hook part. Okay, so why don't we just don't do the other hand if you're doing the grappling hook like I'm doing. If you're not doing the grappling hook and your character's just holding something kind of like this hand is, or not doing anything, then just go ahead and do both hands. But I know on the design that we chose for this robot, we will have to do something different to get that armature extension for the rope. So okay, let's jump over to the Discord and see what you guys got. Let's see here. If you don't know, this is the third class we've made that we're making, how to sculpt a robot. We have two other ones, how to sculpt a dragon and how to sculpt a woodland gremlin. All of them you can find on my YouTube. There's playlists for them, and you can follow along and share your work every week, which we go into Discord after the learning part is done, and I check it out and let you know what I see, what I think, and yeah. Usually I'm kind of looking for, you know, if you have specific questions, I'm more than happy to answer those, but I'm more so when I look at your guys' work, I'm not being hypercritical, but I'm looking for obvious things that could be changed to improve it. But if it's not something super obvious and it's a little bit, you know, like nitpicky, I probably won't, I'm not going to, unless you're Clayton, I'm not going to like get into it with you. So unless you've been taking multiple classes and I can tell you just need a little bit more of a push, I'll be gentle, don't worry. So, because the reality is, you just need to get this initial investment of time in, you know. You need to establish a foundation first before you can really start really sharpening and refining the craft, you know. So, and most people, you know, I grade on a curve, and I'm basing it off of where you're at on your sculpting journey, not critiquing your work like I would my own, you know what I mean? Because that would just be too much, you know. It's too much too soon. So what doesn't kill me usually gets me weeping. All right, let's jump in here. Let's see. So when you join the Discord, there is a section that has all the tools and materials in the general class info here. You can see it, cnotbusch school, robot class, dragon class, gremlin class, and then final picks. So when you finish your work, you can post it there. If you don't see those channels, you need to go here to click on channels and roles. Click on browse channels. And right here in the cnotbusch school section, just make sure there should be a button here off the screen. You can see, I can see it, but you can't see it. To click on it so you can actually view those channels. Sometimes they're just turned off for people for whatever reason. It's just a Discord thing. But all right, let's jump into robot class here. Okay, all right. Not sure if Chris will check tomorrow, but here's my robot shins. I'm guessing there'll be another update from you. Not started my fix-it bots and hoping to show them off next Sunday. Okay, let's see. Ooh, very nice. I like it. It's definitely a different, you're probably experiencing that sensation of it being, it's just a different way of designing things, the way robots or mechanical things are built. I could definitely see you're really exploring that realm. It's fun. It's fun once you get those base set of tools, planes, circles, and lines down. It becomes really fun. So let's see. D10 Tango. ID10 Tango. I finally wandered into the world of clay. First clay and tools arrived yesterday. Began the robot sketch. Pardon the gesture. He's a little angry, huh? Nice. Let's see from the side. Okay. I would slant the posture just a smidge forward to compensate for that backpack weight. You know, it'll be more natural that way. So you can literally just take the whole character and just slant him forward just a smidge. But yeah, that's really good. Exactly. For that being your very first clay sculpt, really good. Going with the old bender arms, that's nice. Oh yeah, look at that. You're right. See, this is what I'm talking about. Back in the day, I used to look for like art sculptors that were posting their work that I really liked the way it looked and like aspired to be as good as they were. I would always find images like this and like meticulously look at all the tools and try and figure out how they did what they did. It really works. You can like reverse engineer these little bits of detail. Okay. La Vida looks. Oh, hey. Hey, that looks really nice. I like that. Some, you know, if you like blur your vision, if you have a good balance of detail and rest, it really, it comes together really nice. That's what gives that initial impact of wanting to see more of you see this like clustered detail on the front of the shin, and then the kind of the side of the leg being very like an area of rest. It's just really well balanced. So nice design work and good execution. All right. Hey, I like that. I like how you did that around the door. That works good. Little furnace door. Riveting. All right. Nice work. That's looking really good, Libya Deluxe. Clayton, my fix-it bots are about caught up with the Explorer bot. I made one head and one chest and molded the others to use additive method to make them unique. Oh, that's smart. Kind of create a base model and then alter the base model. All right. Cool. Oh, I like his, the proportions of this one are really good, like for that kind of cute robot look. Very much like toddler-esque. Here's a work in progress of the rotors for the flyer and the structure on the tank treads. Okay. Oh, I see. This is the tank treads. Oh, very nice. Really clean. Oh, and right there. Okay, so that's like this, like what you're gonna insert into the side, kind of the side mechanism. Cool. Yeah, it looks awesome. Oh yeah, let me see that. Yeah, that turned out good. Those tank treads. Yeah, read really well, especially when you get them into color. All right. Levita Lux, Clayton, and ID 10 Tango. Great work. Nice. Okay, let's jump over to the Gremlin class. Looks like we got an update there. Yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. Streamer mode always blocks certain names. Let me turn that off. One second. Okay. There we go. Crunchster. Progress is going well on my gremlin, but I hate doing hands. Everyone did. Man. Maybe next time, maybe we should have done like a pirate for our first character. Then we only would have had to do one hand. Look, we got to face the hands eventually. We can't just we have to face it. Okay. Nice. Looking great, my friend. And the hands turned out good. Yeah, I wouldn't be too don't beat yourself up. You did great. Oh, nice. Accessories. I think it's important to maybe balance the work that you don't want to do with the work that you do want to do. You know, maybe if you're feeling a little bit burnt out on the hands, just make a few accessories. But eventually you're going to have to face the hands again. So, nice. Lou Simply Art. Hi, everyone. I'm new and have been following the lesson. I'm loving every minute of it. Thank you. I'm working on his hair at the moment, finding it a bit tough, but he's coming to life. All right, let's see. Someone new. Welcome, by the way. Oh, hey, that's a great idea with the leaf stamp and like stamped leather kind of look. I like that. The gremlins holding some crystals. Nice. Oh, very good. Very wizardy. Especially with that nice long beard. Awesome. I like it. Nice. Oh, some more photos. Oh, I see the hair. Okay. Yeah, okay. So I see where you're struggling when it comes to the hair. And it's because like with hair, there really needs to be these very deep, big areas. You know, right now all the line work is kind of the same as far as like as depth and width, you know. So if like like towards the base, the hair can be like this, you know, it's like nice and straight together, almost like someone's got their hair slicked back. But as we get further to the thicker part of the hair, what you do is you stick your tool, you know, I usually stick the hockey stick tool, like right into the same lines you've made, and I kind of nudge left and right and like make space to really create this, like, you know, like this is thick hair, you know, because that's what's throwing it off for you, is you're reading this as like it's very thin pulled back hair all the way down to the end, and that's just what the line work is showing. So to fix that, you just gotta get in there with a tool, you know. And I usually start a lot of my hair, I start that way, very not very deep, but like nice parallel lines all the way down, just like you did here. And then you just need to go with the next step and go in and make cur a little bit of waviness and a little bit of depth. So, and it'll pop and come to life at that point. So, but this area right here near the kind of the hairline is how it should look for sure. I think the struggle is kind of dealing with it over here. So, and you know, once your character has a hat, it might not even matter too much. So this is just more for like a practice type of deal. So, deeds. I finally finished up tonight. I know I have issues with proportions, like legs too small, wrists too big, but I'm learning and I'm really enjoying these lessons. I'm starting on painting next. I'm still undecided of how the base is going to be. Yeah, and you know what? This is why we chose this type of project, is we don't have to worry about proportions. It's okay if the proportions are a little bit off. It'll still work in the finished, you know, product of the character. So I like this little it's like a little Wilson mushroom, little mushroom companion that he talks to, or like a mandrake root mushroom. Nice. All right, that's good. You did a really good job on the crow. It's not easy to make a tiny little bird like that, so great work. It goes with the character too. All right. Very good. Lovely work. You did great. I'm excited to see how you do the painting. I finally think I have finished. I've him finished for painting. All the crystals come out for the painting. Now, okay, you can add crystals and you don't have to take them out for painting, but it's good that you made it that you can do that. So what you would do is, like, say you painted it and you got paint on the crystals. You usually could just take a little X-Acto knife and scrape the paint off, or a little Q-tip with some acetone. So if it is a pain in the butt to get them out, you can just leave them in there. But it looks like you designed it so they kind of pop out pretty easy. So, oh yeah, see, okay, so the hat, you know, pretty much covers up the hair, and it's not really an issue. It's so funny. It's so funny how they're like all so unique. You know, it's like it wouldn't it be so cool to have all these in the same room? They got such all unique personalities. All right. Looking good. Okay, my very first sculpt completed, and I've learned so much. Thank you, everyone. Oh wow, we've got a lot of new gremlins joining the gremlin army here. I like the hat. The hat style really goes with your character. Very nice. Explore gremlins. Okay, Levita Lux. All right, you've been busy, huh? I've got a lot done on my little fella. I can't explain how happy I am. I've been working on this again after so long. As you can see, I had to do the right hand twice due to it being humongous. I do that too. You know, that just happens. Hey, what's up, Glad? Hey, thanks for the raid. We're just doing our sculpture review for anyone who's joined our classes. If you guys don't know, on Sunday I do free classes. We pick a project and I work through a character start to finish. This is an old class we had done, but I still review all the old class stuff. So if anyone wants to join any of the old classes, you can. It's totally free, just like available on YouTube. But we were working on our robot. We're doing how to sculpt a robot. Today we did the hands, so you just had to go back and watch the VOD if anyone's curious. But yeah, we're checking out some hands here. I like how you did the veining there, Livy Deluxe. That old kind of like old hand veining. Ooh, tasty mushroom. OMG. Too big? Okay. I see. Yeah, it looks really good. Very angular. See? Yeah, it's very easy with hands to kind of get this idea that they're like almost like rounded, you know, with the fingers and the way they bend, but they are very angular, like playing this way, playing that way, playing this way. Good to keep that in mind. You're making almost like rounded boxes, not you know, not circles or cylinders. Oh, there we go. All right. Great. The best part about the hands is once you get past it, it's the hardest part, and it's all smooth sailing after that point. So looking good. I know how that is too. When you have an older project that you kind of sideline for a little while, it's like you don't want to pick it back up because there's just no interest in it. But once you convince yourself to start doing it again and you complete a step, usually it like kind of reinvigorates the project for you, interest-wise, you know, because that kind of puts the wind back in your sails. So I imagine you're feeling a similar effect, right? It's like recharges you on the project. So that's why a lot of times you just need to get to the next finishing stage. That's why I really do like the way that I work because of that a project is a combination of a bunch of little mini projects kind of stacked on top of each other. So, you know, the hands being a little mini project, you know, each element of the character is its own project that you can reach a finish line or finishing point on and be happy about. It gives you like a little kind of like breadcrumb of that win, you know, along the way. So anyways, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Class is officially back in session, so we'll be back again next Sunday, same time. I believe we'll either tackle we'll finish the hand and tackle the rest of the arm, which probably would be best. Yeah, so I think that's what we'll do. There's always a chance plans change, but I think we'll have this hand finished up, and I'm just gonna show you how to attach it, how to do the arm, and then if we have time, I'll show how to do the other hand that has that additional support attached to it. So, yeah, let's find someone to raid, and I'm gonna get on out of here. When do we add all greeblies to the body? That can happen at the very end. It doesn't happen. It can happen now. It can happen later. So this is my theory. Let's just create a base model that has not as much detail as we'd like it to have. And then at the end, kind of analyze when the whole character's together and say, is there any area that could have some more, right? Or because it's easy to kind of go too overboard in these earlier stages, and then the whole thing's together and it just doesn't work as a whole. So it's better. So probably what will happen is we'll finish the backpack and we'll accessorize and we'll have the finished character in front of us. We'll be able to see, okay, is there an area that needs some more detail or some more interest going on? And that's when we can go in and say, who could possibly go overboard? I will say your little mini bots are definitely very very balanced, really nice looking little robots. I have to say that. So even after LEDs, no. Now LEDs, remember, LEDs don't happen until the piece is done, like officially done. So, because to add the greeblies, you have to bake it. So LEDs don't happen until after all baking is finished. So let's see here. Okay, let me. A lot of Death Stranding 2 players right now. Oh, Miniatures Den's on. Let's go raid him. Miniatures Den. Go check out some next level painting. Excellent painting from Miniatures Den. Okay, my friends. Till next time. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.